Hi folks, hope you're doing well. Quick video. It's about Man United again, because of course they lost against Newcastle, but then again that was predictable, very very much. So I've talked a lot about it. All I'm going to say now is I'm going to talk a little bit about the managers and why I think they haven't worked in the past. It's about not having the right manager. We had a manager who could have worked, which was Jose, but the problem is they didn't back him. In the second season, they didn't want to back him. They didn't want to get the players he wanted in. Had they done that, then he might have actually been a lot more successful. Because if you give him the power to deal with the issues at the club, he would have dealt with the issues at the club. The only problem with Jose was never really a club builder. He was always, spend a ton of money, bring in 5 or 6, 7, 8 players, win the league, stay at that club for a couple of years, doing well, and then, get sacked and go to another club and do the same somewhere else. And that's why Jose wasn't really going to be the man. Because we need a long-term thing. Moyes, no chance, because he hadn't really succeeded in the Premier League. He succeeded in not getting Everton relegated, but that was it. Louis van Gaal. Well, Louis van Gaal never had experience in the Premier League. He had experience in Holland and in Spain, but never the Premier League, so he'd never really known that. He didn't seem to do his homework on Man United either before he came in. Really didn't. He should have done, but he didn't. Because he turned up and within the first couple of games noticed how absolutely awful the defence was, and too late can't do anything about it. Really, really bad as a manager. Before you accept to take over a team, get an understanding of the team. Go and speak to the people that were involved in the club previously that have now been sacked. Have a few phone calls with them. Look at a few videos. See what you're coming into. Because of course for him, he lost Rio, he lost Vidic, he lost Giggs. He lost Carrick, I think he lost Carrick. Carrick may have still been playing for a season, but not I think he lost Carrick because Carrick came on as assistant, didn't he, to, was it Van Gaal? I think it's Van Gaal. So anyway, but he won the FA Cup and he was fired because he didn't win the league, but he won the FA Cup. Okay. And that's when they brought Jose in, sacked Jose early on, brought in Ollie as a part-time, a temporary manager, just to bring a good bit of vibe back into the club, because it got a bit toxic under Jose. He did okay because he started playing this real counter-attack football and using the pace of the forwards. And until clubs got wise about that, he did okay. As soon as they got wise about it, he was knackered, but they'd already given him a contract full time just before it turned on him. And then we started seeing how absolutely incompetent he was as a manager, which of course he was. I mean, his level was Norway League. That was his level. He had once got a team relegated from the Premier League. That was it. So most likely that wasn't going to work. He wasn't going to be that person, was he? Pretty obvious. But then Rangnick would have worked, but Rangnick, again, not a manager. Nope, director of football, but not a manager. And so he was put in position as a manager, but told initially that he would be given a position after that 6 months. And again, I think the players were probably told he wouldn't. Once he started being truthful, that was it. The club would have told the players, don't worry, he won't be here next season. And so the players didn't play for him at all. They knew they could just put tools down, because with players they can do that. They can tools down, it doesn't matter, because you can't sack a player. In any other walk of life, Rashford would have been sacked. He wouldn't have been given a new contract. The amount of seasons he's been playing the way he is now, yeah. A lot of these players would have been sacked, but they weren't. So, of course, they bring in Ten Hag. Now, Ten Hag, as I say, Ten Hag is a manager who has gone into teams, Ajax mainly, but a team that was already built. Everything was smooth and running beautiful. The coaches were fantastic. They had a system of play that was running through the youth right the way through. And they had a fantastic team. They were dominating their division. They were doing very, very well in Europe. They had a fantastic director of football. Everything was beautifully run. And he just stepped in and continued doing what had been done. Now, a lot of people are saying, and you could say rightly to a certain degree, a lot of people were saying, and are saying now, that this was a 3-year thing, we should give Ten Hag more time. The reason why I'm saying absolutely not now is because obviously he came out early in the week and said United are not going to play the Ajax way of football because he doesn't have the players, and he then really firmed that down by saying they will never play that way of football, and he didn't come here to play that way of football. Well, okay. Really should have explained that a bit more about what you came here to do. Because I'm pretty sure when you first came here, it was to play that way of football. That's what the fans expected. Of course, whether or not the directors expected that, because maybe he had a conversation with them and saying, no, we're not going to play that way. The reason why the fans expect it is because that's pretty much the way that City play. That's pretty much the way that Liverpool play. That's pretty much the way that any top team plays. That way. And so United wanted to play that way, so they brought in a manager who was being successful with a team that played that way. And until he said that, that's not going to happen at United, I would have said, give him time. Because if that's what he's trying to do, but then when he said he's not trying to do that, well, then why should you be given more time? To do what? Not only do you not have an identity at United, now we have no identity for you. Because your identity was what you were doing at Ajax, and now you're telling us that you're not going to do that at United. So, okay, what are you going to do? You've only really been successful at one club. Yes. Yeah. So, who do they need? They need someone who basically plays the way that he played at Ajax, the way that City plays, the way that most teams play, but someone who's done that in the Premier League. So the Brighton manager will be the one, most likely, that they need. Because he plays that way. He plays it at Brighton, that are in the Premier League. He plays it with owners that don't spend a ton of money, but they tend to get the right players. So, and he's quite a tough manager. Anyone who comes in is going to have to be tough, and it's going to have to say to the board, if I want a player gone, they have to be gone. If you take a loss on it, if you take a loss on that player, that's due to your bad business in the past. That's got nothing to do with me. If that player is a problem, that player is costing you money staying here. Because I'm not going to play them. Their valuation is going down because I'm not going to play them. And so you need to get rid of them. Whatever you can get from them, get. But get them out. And let's bring in players that we can actually work with here. And do it now. Because the problem is with Ten Hag, certainly this season things have started badly, and it's had time, but it looks as if. And one of the biggest problems is what he's done with Sancho. You can see quite clearly that there are players that aren't willing to work in games or run around. So he basically pointed at Sancho after they lost to Arsenal, even though Sancho wasn't playing, talking about the fact he's not playing because he's not training well. There's players that aren't playing well, aren't putting the effort in games, yet still get picked. So how can those players be training well when they can't perform at all on the pitch? The manager's got to solve that. So far he hasn't. Do I think he's going to? No, I don't. Because I think if he could, he would have done so already. Because you look at it, around about a month before the end of the season, last season, they started playing this way. And for that month, and since the start of the season, he hasn't been able to redress that. And he's brought players in to improve things, and not even picking them. So, there you go. Enjoy. Bye-bye.